Right now, as you listen to my voice, there are specialized cells crawling through the dark of your skull, eating away at your brain to save your life. Last night, while you slept, they quietly dismantled thousands of microscopic bridges between your neurons. They wiped out tiny pieces of your childhood, the route of your morning commute, the faces you passed on the street. If they hadn't, your brain would be overheating by now, drowning in its own electrical noise. This isn't some passive side effect of being tired. It's an active, predatory defense mechanism. Skip it for even a single night, and the line between reality and a waking nightmare starts to unravel. To see why your brain has to turn on itself, you have to look at your waking hours as a slow-motion cognitive poisoning. Every sight, sound, and fleeting emotion isn't just some weightless, ghost-like thought. It's physical. It's a newly forged synapse, a tiny bridge of proteins stretching across the gap between two neurons. Watch a yellow cap splash through a puddle, and you tie a physical knot inside your cortex. Smell fresh asphalt after rain, and another knot forms. By sunset, your brain is a suffocating, overgrown jungle of these connections, gulping down massive amounts of glucose and oxygen just to keep the lights on. Let this growth go unchecked for another day or two, and the system collapses. The brain's electrical grid literally short-circuits. Scientists call this excitotoxicity, a state where neurons fire nonstop until they burn themselves to death. To stop this, your nervous system has to become a ruthless editor. It uses a process called synaptic homeostasis. Think of it as a nightly ritual where the brain scales down the volume of its connections. The weak, useless memories of the day are earmarked for total erasure, leaving only the vital pathways intact. When you look closely at this nightly war, you realize sanity isn't our default state. It's something we have to fight for, every single night. If you want to keep exploring the dark, beautiful machinery of the human mind with us, take a second to subscribe to the MindCraft and hit that like button. We have so much more of this hidden landscape to map, and the journey only gets stranger. Now, let's look closer at the microscopic predators that actually decide which parts of your identity have to die. These predators are called microglia. For decades, scientists thought they were just support cells, a kind of passive glue holding the brain's complex architecture together. But modern imaging shows a much more active, almost haunting reality. Microglia are the brain's resident immune cells, and they look like tiny, multi-armed beasts crawling through a neural forest. When darkness falls and you drift off, these cells transform. They stretch out their arms and begin patrolling your synaptic pathways like hungry spiders. They're hunting for chemical flags. If you use a synapse a lot during the day, it gets coated in protective proteins, a sign that tells the microglia to back off. But the weak connections? The pattern on a stranger's shirt, the exact price of your groceries, a brief flash of anxiety at a red light, those are left completely exposed. The microglia lock onto them, wrap their bodies around them, and swallow them whole. Biologists call this phagocytosis. From the Greek for, literally, cell-eating. Think about that. While you're dreaming of flying or falling, a quiet physical massacre is happening inside your prefrontal cortex. Millions of tiny memories are being ripped apart and digested, recycled into raw amino acids for the next day's clutter. This isn't a memory failure. It's the engine of your intelligence. If a computer hard drive never deleted anything, it would eventually freeze up, choked with junk data. Your brain avoids this by acting like a sculptor, chipping away the excess stone to find the clean lines of sanity underneath. Imagine the alternative. When this pruning process breaks down, the results are devastating. People with a rare condition called hyperthymesia can recall every single day of their lives in vivid, agonizing detail. Ask them what they ate for lunch on a random Tuesday 17 years ago, or what the weather was like on some forgotten childhood morning, and they can tell you. But it isn't a superpower. It's a cognitive prison. They are often paralyzed by the sheer volume of their own history, unable to make simple daily choices because their minds are constantly flooded with useless data. Their brains are constantly screaming, unable to find the silence they need to think. Because they can't destroy the trivial, they lose the ability to understand what actually matters. Without the mercy of forgetting, the present moment gets swallowed by the past. And it makes you wonder, if your entire identity is built on what you remember, who is actually left when these microscopic, blind architects finish their nightly feast? Sleep isn't a peaceful sanctuary. It's a violent, necessary battlefield. While the microglia are chewing through your connections, your brain is physically shifting. The space between your cells widens by 60%, letting a clear, watery fluid wash through the tissue like a tide. This is the glymphatic system. It's a nightly flushing mechanism that sweeps away the toxic waste of a day's worth of thinking. Inside that waste is amyloid beta, the sticky protein plaque linked to cognitive decline and Alzheimer's. This fluid wash works hand in hand with the pruning. While the fluid sweeps away the chemical debris, the microglia tear down the physical scaffolding. When you starve yourself of sleep, you aren't just feeling tired. You're physically locking the cleanup crew out of the building. The toxic proteins build up. The useless synapses stay cluttered. And the microglia, driven haywire by the lack of rest, can actually start to malfunction. In sleep-deprived brains, we've watched them attack healthy, vital synapses, literally eating away at the memories you were meant to keep. This turn of the immune system might explain the deep cognitive distortions that set in when you stay awake too long. You start to hallucinate. Paranoia creeps in. The line between your internal thoughts and the outside world begins to blur. Choked with unpruned connections, the brain misfires, hallucinating phantom sensations and false patterns. It's a state that looks a lot like acute schizophrenia, a disorder some researchers now believe might be linked to abnormal pruning during childhood development. But there's a strange beauty in all this destruction. It's actually the secret engine of human creativity. By pruning away the literal, surface-level associations of the day, your brain leaves behind a clean slate for abstract, metaphorical thinking. During REM sleep, the brain starts playing with the connections that survived, testing them against each other in bizarre, random ways. That is what we experience as dreaming. A dream isn't just random white noise. It's a stress test for your remaining memories. Your brain is trying to see if a connection made during the day can be useful in a totally different context. It's hunting for deep patterns, not just surface-level repetition. By destroying the specific details of an event, the exact shade of a room, the precise words someone said, the brain lets you extract the broader lesson. The underlying meaning. We forget the trivial so we can remember the human truth. Imagine a painter who never washes their palette, just adding new colors over the old, dried paint. Within days, those brilliant reds and blues would turn into a muddy, brown sludge. The microglia are the clean water and the cloth. They wipe the canvas clean every night so tomorrow's strokes can be sharp, bright, and distinct. We don't sleep just to rest our muscles or recharge our batteries. We sleep to let our brains commit a controlled, elegant vandalism on our own minds. This changes how we have to look at identity. We like to think of ourselves as a growing collection of experiences, a monument built stone by stone over a lifetime. But the biology says we're actually the opposite. We aren't the stones that are added. We are the negative space left behind by the chisel. We are defined not just by what we remember, but by the vast, silent oceans of what we have chosen to destroy. Every morning you wake up, you are a slightly edited version of the person who went to sleep. The person who walked down the street yesterday is gone, partially digested by the very cells designed to protect them. You open your eyes to a world that feels familiar, but your brain has quietly redrawn your internal map while you were away. This quiet, constant destruction is the price of admission for a conscious life. Your brain must continuously burn its own history, scattering the ashes of your trivial memories into the dark, just to keep the fragile flame of your sanity alive for one more day.